Konnichiwa, y'all, and welcome to the Maple Mafia channel. You may know us from the MrMaple Show channel. We also have this Maple Mafia channel we're starting to go live on. We're starting to put more content on here. We've actually monetized this channel now, so it's kind of exciting. And guys, we have the Maple Mafia eBay store. So on Sunday evenings, we've been talking about our Maple Mafia eBay store, going over a little bit of what we have in stock coming off on eBay today. These videos are airing on Sunday on the Maple Mafia channel. And then right after that, within a couple hours, things are starting to hit that Maple Mafia eBay channel. So those things are starting to, the bids are finalizing. So this is your last chance to grab some of these today on Sunday. Guys, we got some great plants for you. This is the 420 version of this one. Probably going to get in trouble because they already think everything I do with Japanese maples is not Japanese maples. We'll just say that for YouTube purposes. YouTube already thinks that every short I put up of a Makawa is not a Makawa. They think it's some other plant that you're not supposed to be talking about on YouTube. So 420 is probably going to really confuse some people. We'll make sure the cover photo has lots of Makawas in it. Guys, we're kicking it off with a 3-gallon Gossamer. I love Gossamer. There's nothing awesomer than a Gossamer in fall color. You guys know this one. This one is Acer japonicum. Some people say X. Billy Short says it's a hybrid with a lace leaf. Found there at Dick Wolf's place. Really cool plant, though. This one has heavily dissected foliage, really unique overall characteristics. Probably the smallest growing Acer japonicum. Fairy Lights can give it a little bit of a run for its money, but this one's probably even smaller. Really curly foliage to it. You get this elaborate foliage. One of my favorites for fall. I mean, nuts fall color on Acer japonicum Gossamer. You can get yellows, reds, and orange. Go full Hulkamania on this one in the fall because you get all that color going on in one. I've had orange. Typically, yellow and red seem to be like the focal points, like pieces of yellow on the new growth and red or older growth as it ages. Love that in the fall. Now, this is going to be a green in the spring and summer. Can't have the red tassel flowers. Absolutely love Gossamer. It is an absolute winner. Now, coming in here next, guys, we've got a fan favorite. Another one that kind of hails from Billy Schwartz. We got Tattoo in a 1-gallon. Tattoo is one of the smallest Makawa forms. Got that ruffled leaf to it. Typically 3 feet tall, even in 10 years. So always highly sought after. Yeah, just an all-around great plant. Tattoo, great fall color too, more of a red. If you put it side by side with Makawa Yetsubusa, you're definitely going to see those differences. This one has way more ruffled leaf, way more compact habit. I mean, Makawa in the same time frame is going to be 2 feet taller after 10 years than Tattoo. So it's fun to get this one and just give it some time and let it mature. Absolutely a showpiece of the garden. Great for the fairy garden or just a small area garden. And it works great in container plants for sure. All right, guys, coming here next, we've got one that's highly sought after, another Makawa form. This one was found and named by our buddy and our manager at Buckholtz Farm. This one was one Joel Johnson was heavily involved with. Mr. Miyagi. Now, this one is a Makawa type that is green. So you're like, what's special about a green Makawa seedling? This one has a very low, wide form, very unique. So obviously with a name like Mr. Miyagi, it evokes some ideas of bonsai. Now, Joel picked this one out because he thought it would be very good for bonsai, especially because of that low, wide shape. Great looking plant, very durable. Going to work zones 5 through 9. Going to be able to go in about as much sunlight as Makawa as well, so very durable there. Guys, coming in here next, we got an Ojishi. Acer Palmatum Ojishi in a Welsh pot. So Welsh pots often are what are used at our Buckholtz farm. They're a little bit squattier than your typical 1-gallon, but same size plant. So same size plant as your typical 1-gallon. Ojishi, the male lion. So heavily sought after. You know, you've seen the Shishigashira. We're going to be doing some Ojishi again, so they're coming back. But Ojishi here, the male lion, a little bit flatter on the foliage. So as you look at Ojishi versus Shishigashira, you can start to see the difference. They've gotten mixed up some in the trade. Sometimes I'll see Ojishi sold as Shishigashira, and it's just wrong. But Ojishi tends to flatten out a little bit, especially in the center of the leaf. Great plant. Kind of rare in the trade now. You don't see it as much. Bringing it back here on eBay today in the Welsh pot. All right, guys, next up, we've got Radiant in a 3-gallon. So these are tall. This is a tall 3-gallon Radiant. Highly sought after. Great variegation. This one can have just so many different colors. You can actually get swirling in the bark going on with Radiant. Now, I'll let you know, Radiant and Cosmo, I do believe to be the same plant, but I've seen Radiant look better than Cosmo, to be honest with you. Fred Hooks originally found Cosmo. Another friend of ours, they got in some legal arguments over this one, said he improved Radiant by continually selecting the best parts of Cosmo. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. I won't get into the legality of it all, but I will let you know that Radiant and Cosmo definitely share some similarities. Radiant, great looking plant, guys. This one has some incredible variegation. A lot of what I love about Arita no Nishiki, a lot of what I love about something like Ukigumo, you get a little bit of all that going on in Radiant. You get this swirling, you get this almost sand dusting looking variegation. Really a strong grower, great looking plant, great red fall color as well. So you get some great red fall color in here. Here's a chance to pick up a beautiful Radiant in a 3-gallon size tall, so big sizes on this one. All right, guys, coming in here next, I got Acer Palmatum Ryu Zoo. Ryu Zoo, one you don't see much in the trade anymore. It's another one that kind of Fred helped popularize. I saw him selling it a lot back in the day. Absolutely nice plant. Now, Ryu typically meaning dragon. You see that a lot in Japanese maples. Ryu Zoo is a compact dwarf. You kind of get this, not Makawa shape out of it, but you get a lot of what you like about Makawa in it. It's a green dwarf that can often have a little bit of a pink blushing. It reminds me a little bit more of like Kurinajishi and maybe a little bit of Teroyama. So if you like those two trees, kind of think of those kind of vibes. I've had brilliant bold oranges on this in the fall. Green tree, kind of a twisting large leaf to it. So pretty showy. Can get a little bit of a blushing over it of kind of pink red in the spring. Not a big tree though. This one is going to work zones 5 through 9, typically around 6 foot, even in 15 years. So you're talking fairly compact here. Love Ryuzu though. Kind of disappeared a bit from the trade. I'd say when I first got it, really into mail order, and I was kind of getting going around 08, 09. You saw this one more common, and it's kind of disappeared a little bit, but it's a great plant. We're bringing it back here on the Maple Mafia eBay. Guys, next up, we got a classic. You know this one. This is a Talon Buchholz introduction, Japanese Princess. Now, we got this in a 1-gallon, highly sought after. We always bring these back to MrMaple, but eBay's a great chance to skip the line, guys. I love this one. Pink in the spring. Kind of gets a blonde highlight to it. Now, this one can change a good bit whether you have it in sun or shade. If you have this one in a lot of sun, you get more of that neon pink. If you have it in shade, it gets a little bit more like frosty blonde look with kind of some pink hues to it. Really a showstopper plant either way. Absolutely love it. Great plant. Now, smaller than most of your other Makawa types. So this one's typically 3 feet, even in 10 years. Kind of a little bit more on the growth rate side of something like that tattoo. Real showstopper there. All right, next up, we've got Acer Seboldianum Ingolstadt. This is a weird one. Kind of looks like a Matsamuri. Very rare plant. This is one from Holland. I believe it was a Dick Vandermeer introduction. You typically don't see this one in the U.S. yet. We've offered it before, maybe once or twice on our eBay here. It will be coming to MrMaple eventually, but again, another chance to skip the line here on Ingolstadt. Very rare plant. Seboldianum's very durable, very cold tolerant. This one is quite unique. I love Ingolstadt. It's got some great colors to it. It's been a unique standout for us. Now, next up, I've got a new one we don't offer a lot. Kind of maybe coming one of the first times here. We have offered it before. We've got Acer Palmatum Elwood Orange. Now, Elwood Orange is one of those Ueno-yama spring types. So you get this really interesting expressed orange color, kind of a little bit of a reddish border to it. Really showy. Good grower, typically over a foot of growth a year. Elwood Orange has been a standout for spring color for us. It's really popular. Really interesting one. Now, moving on to more orange, guys, we got Mystic Makawa in the 1-gallon. You guys know Mystic. Mystic's always popular. Tends to sell out whether we have it on eBay or MrMaple. And don't worry, all these things come back to MrMaple eventually too. But again, eBay, great chance to skip the line here, guys. Mystic Makawa, orange introduction of Makawa Yetsubusa. I like giving this one early morning sun to get its best colors to it. I have one that actually gets a good bit of early morning shade and late day sun here in zone 6B, and I get some immaculate colors on this thing. It's nuts. It gets some just fiery orangey blazes going on in the early spring. Love this one. Typically 4 foot tall in 10 years. Compact, dense Makawa form. If you're watching this channel, you probably know this one. It's highly sought after for good reason. Just great colors on Mystic Makawa. I do find that you also get better colors on this one in the ground. So typically in the ground, I don't know if it's pH. I'm going to have somebody study this. We're doing some interesting stuff with some different research facilities. Maybe I'll have somebody look into this. But I do think pH might have a factor because it tends to have better color for me in the ground than it does in the container. Now, that could be greenhouse related, but it definitely looks better in the ground for me most of the time. All right, moving on here, we've got Rainbow in a 1-gallon. Back in the day, this was Talon's most highly sought after top secret plant. Love this plant, guys. Rainbow, very popular Buchholz introduction. Pink on dark red variegation, typically around 6 to 8 foot in 10 years. Now this one you do want to prune for the color, prune for the color, not the shape. So you want to be able to prune out any of the all red branching, typically when it's a little bit bigger than like a 3-gallon size. So when it's more in that 3 foot kind of range, I start to really eliminate any of the all red foliage, and that just fosters the best possible color patterns on this one. Rainbow, though, showstopper, pink, large leaves, absolutely amazing. All right, now here in a 1-gallon, guys, I've got Little Joe. Makes me want to go to Piggy Park in Columbia. Now, I do like all types of barbecue. I talk about barbecue probably too much on all our channels. Grew up visiting my cousins down in Columbia, and, at Maurice's Barbecue, they have a Little Joe basket. So just saying, kind of makes me like that one. Not named for that, though. This was named by a good friend of ours, Dr. Kronetsky, and it was named for his brother Joe. This is a witch's broom found on a green palmatum. Guys, this one also has an interesting blushing. So kind of vigorous when young, like a lot of brooms can be. So some of those brooms will get out there quick. They'll kind of fool you. You're going to think maybe this is a faster growing tree. It's not. It's going to slow down and dense it up. Typically more of a 4x4 ball in 10 years. Now what makes Little Joe really special too, a lot of that new growth from within will have pink growth on it. So you kind of have this two-tone approach of like chartreuse green and pink in the early spring. Really makes it stand out from a lot of the other witch's brooms. I've been really impressed with it. So next up, we got another witch's broom type. I don't know if it's truly a witch's broom, but it's definitely small and compact. This one hails from Japan. Very rare one. I think we were the first people in the United States to ever offer Acer palmatum muka. Acer palmatum muka is a little reminiscent of Seiho, a little wider than Seiho. This one has tiny foliage, very dense, puts on a lot of growth from within. I remember when I first saw this, I was in Japan with some other nurserymen from America that were just happened to be there that I know, and they were like, what the heck is that? Like, it was out of leaf, but they were freaking out over the structure of muka. Really a great plant. A little bit of a purple border to it in the early spring. I think it's going to be one like Seiho that grows in popularity, especially for the U.S. bonsai market. So as people get this one out there, they're going to be more and more interested in it. 3 to 4 feet tall. I mean, really compact, more of a rounded ball. Great looking plant. Muka, showstopper on the colors. Been a fan favorite for us here. All right, coming in next, we've got Acer Longa peas, and that could be up for debate, so don't murder me in the comment section. But do, because I like the comments, gold coin. So I've seen this sold as Acer Amplum. That's probably the most accepted thing now. I like to keep the original name on stuff for species because there's so many cultivar names that reoccur. So I just like for the customer to be able to understand, what's what. Acer Longa peas gold coin, though, Esfeld Plantinum introduction, and Holland, absolutely a showstopper on the color, guys. This one, I kid you not, can be metallic-y yellow. Absolutely love the color on this. Large leaves. It's Acer Amplum, Acer Longa peas, but it reminds me a lot of the size leaf of Usagumo, so almost like that batwing size maple. Looks great with pictums. Looks great. Really looks great next to anything. I mean, if you put this next to just bloodgood, just red bloodgood, the colors are going to look nuts next to it. I have it in a good bit of sun for kind of that bleached out effect here. I have one in zone 6B. I think if you're in much hotter zones, you want to give this one a little more late day shade to protect it. But early morning sun, late day shade will kind of give you your optimal colors on gold coin. All right, this one's going to be popular. A lot of people are going to be after this one, guys. We're bringing back the Martha Ghost. Now, Martha Ghost, highly sought after member of the Ghost series, probably the rarest member of the Ghost series. Dallin had a nursery manager named Martha. They parted ways, and so did the tree. So after Martha and Dallin parted ways, working together, he kind of discontinued her tree. Well, Tim and I are kind of responsible for getting this one back into the trade. I was at Peter Gregory's place in the UK. I went and stayed with Peter Gregory, and experience of a lifetime. I mean, one of my top 3 things I've ever done in Naples, and that includes buying Buchholz. One of my top 3 things was going and visiting Peter Gregory in the UK when he was alive. He was also the author, did the 3rd and 4th editions of J.D. Vertree's book, Japanese Maples for Timber Press. And Peter was one of the funniest guys I ever met, just one of the coolest people. And I stayed in his library. He had downsized places, and I actually stayed on a futon in basically his library. And I just laid in there and looked at all the books and dreamed of soaking up all the information. But I was going through older Maple Society quarterlies, and there was one from the 90s, and it said that Talon Buchholz had this new Ghost series, and it consisted of First Ghost, Purple Ghost, and Martha Ghost. Well, got my attention now, right? Like, what the heck is this Martha Ghost? So I started researching it. When I got back to the U.S., You know, I put my research hound, my little brother Tim, into full mode on this, and we found a wholesale distributor who had bought the tree from town, had it in the ground, and we just made him an offer they couldn't refuse price-wise. So we said, guys, I need this tree. I'll pay you this. And they dug it up out of their garden and shipped it to us. So that's how kind of Martha Ghost got back into the trade. Otherwise, it would have been completely disappeared. Great looking plant. Another one of those kind of redder Ghost Series types, a little bit smaller than some of the others, tends to be more multi-stem, about 7-8 foot in 10 years. You guys know the deal if you're watching this far in. Martha Ghost is awesome. Coming at you next, we've got another fan favorite returning, and that is Magic Moon. That's Acer Shirasawadam Magic Moon. Now, this is one I named here. I got the seedling sent to me from my friend Jonathan Savlich. He's the same guy who found Lillian's Jewel. Jonathan decided to send this one to us to evaluate and kind of get a name on. Was one he couldn't work with any longer. And so when I got it from him, I was really just astounded at the color. Like, this thing has that swirling, creepy variegation going on. A little bit of what I like about Usugumo. It's kind of like a Acer Shirasawadam version of Usugumo as well. You kind of get that swirling variegation going on in there. One of the only variegated full moon maples. You guys know it. It's a fan favorite for good reason. That's coming at you in a 1 gallon. Guys, next up, I've got Cupid. Now, this is another Mr. Maple Area 51 introduction. We collected the signwood off this witch's broom, off of a red coral bark. We presume Sangukaku, but we really don't know. It was in the ground here near us. And Tim and I, this is back in our single days, so didn't have any dates going on both married now with kids, but didn't have any dates going on. So Tim and I decided to go out for some pizza. We were down in Tryon. We found this witch's broom on a coral bark, and we collected sign on it. Interestingly enough, a lot of times witch's brooms will have later or earlier fall colors, so it's a good way to notice them in the tree. This tree, you know, Sangukaku, notoriously golden yellow fall color. Well, the witch's broom was still green, so you can see this pod going on in the tree that's still bright green. Stood out like a sore thumb when we found it in the fall. And when we went to graft it, again, it was Valentine's Day. So Cupid kind of became the name for that one. This is a 5x5 compact, denser form. Makes it a little bit more of an upright, small tree. Absolutely love Cupid. Great yellow fall color as well. Mimics that of Sangukaku, but in a much smaller form. That's an XL1, so big size one there. All right, guys, bringing it back today. This one always sells out. And, you know, again, skip the line if you want here. Mayday. So Mayday, great looking plant. Probably the most popular Talon Buckholz introduction that we offer for how quickly it sells out. Now, we're getting those numbers up more and more. Again, a chance to skip the line. Mayday Leafs out pink. It's a Makawi Etsubusa form. Going to go to a golden yellow in the summer. Keeps that yellow from the spring, too. And just a great plant. Typically 4 to 5 foot in 10 years. Very dense, very full, similar to Makawi Etsubusa in structure, but some great color changes. Now, we're going Makawas from here on out, guys. So there's a few more here you're going to want to hear about. We got the Snow Kitten in a 1 gallon. Snow Kitten, Yukiyama, Elmer, whatever you want to call this thing. It's a bad boy. You're going to love it. I love it in the landscape. I love it in the ground. I've actually had one. You know, people worry about this one durability-wise, and I always warn people you don't want to overwater it. You don't want to over-fertilize this one. You don't want to over-push it. I'm in 6B. I always let people know that here in Western North Carolina. We can get -9. So you want this one shutting down good, but I have had one in the ground here for 10 years. It's not huge. It's really small, but I've had one I planted. It was probably more of a 3 gallon size when I planted it. It was in a 7 gallon when I planted it. And the tree's still maybe 2.5 feet tall, 2.5 feet wide. So it's not huge, but it is alive in zone 6B in the ground and happy and healthy and variegated and quite amazing. I have it planted next to one of the original kryptonite grafts. Just a showstopper, guys. You know Snow Kitten. Swirling variegation. Amazing colors on this one. Green on white variegation. It's going to leaf out pretty green, so don't be surprised when it shows up and it first leaves out and you get a little bit more green than anything. That's pretty typical for early spring, but you do start to see that secondary growth come on with a ton of variegation, and even the older growth will get more variegation as it continues to age. Now, this one, I do recommend lightly pruning it in mid to late March as you get some size to them. So you want to get them a little bit to the 2 gallon, 3 gallon size range. You know, give it at least a foot or two before you start pruning on it. But once you do get some size, pruning back in a little bit will create even crazier swirling variegation. Kind of fits into that Aridno Nishiki style for light pruning, really increases the variegation on these. Many of you probably seen our monsters at Buckholz Nursery that we produce from. We cut those back heavy for signwood, and the new growth is electric. It's just all white. So that's one of the optimum ways to be growing this one. Here's another one, highly sought after Makawa type guys. We got Bazinga coming back. That's an Ed Shin introduction. It was actually a seedling from Buckholtz Nursery originally. A gentleman in New Jersey named John Marone had this. He was gardener for Kelsey Grammer at one point, as Ed told me. Really nice guy. Met him a few times at some of Ed's get-togethers back in the day. And as he sold his home and moved, he actually ended up selling 3, maybe 4 of these seedlings. I think it was 3 of them originally to Ed Shin. Or he gifted them to him. I don't know. But they came to Ed's possession. They were always numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. Bazinga, the number 1 choice. So Ed kind of selected Bazinga out as the best of those 4 original ones. Kind of cool. They actually came from Buckholtz Wholesale originally to the guy there in New Jersey. So likely seedlings from the giant Makawa there at Buckholtz Farm as well. And that's where we get Bazinga. You know, obviously the name comes from the Big Bang Theory. Sheldon Cooper named Bazinga, like that was his catchphrase. Great looking plant, though. I love Bazinga. Great colors. I've got a nice one in the ground, and man, it doesn't disappoint. Again, like Mystic Makawa, I do find that in the ground, you get a little bit better color on this one than in container. Early morning sun, late day shade, kind of optimal for that one. Now, last but not least, guys, we got the Red Panda. Now, everybody loves Red Panda. Always come back to MrMaple. But again, here's another chance to skip the line on Red Panda. This is a patented plant by MrMaple. So you can only buy this one correct here on the Maple Mafia or on mrmaple.com. So keep that in mind. If you see them elsewhere, they're not correct. Anyway, awesome plant, guys. This one is just an absolute stud of a red. It's my favorite red Makawa. I've evaluated Makawa seedlings since forever. I've been growing Japanese maples our whole life. We went through probably 20,000 Makawa seedlings, selecting out the best reds since around 2008. There were years where we grew 5 pounds of Makawa seed, which if you know how much that actually translates to for plants, it's a lot. Right now, currently at Buckholtz, I think we have about 8,000 Makawa seedlings in 1 gallon. So there's some crazy one, guys. Red Panda has been the best colored one I've seen. Like, it has the best red. I absolutely love it. Holds a little bit longer than most, but that's always subjectable. They are better at holding their color as they age and in the ground. So this one's not just been evaluated in a 1 gallon. It's been kind of evaluated over time. So you'll see people, I'm sure, compare it to other things in 1 gallons. But as you get this one in the ground, as you really get some age to it, I recommend early morning sun, late day shade for this one as well to kind of optimize its color. But Red Panda, it's been the king of them all. Love red pandas. Love the little animals, too. They're cute as heck. So grab your Red Panda on eBay today. Now, guys, that is the eBay for 420 today. Yeah, crazy date. I don't know why Corbin gave me this one. Fun plant, guys. Japanese maples are the plant of the day. Don't listen to anybody else. It's 420, but the tree to worry about, the plant to worry about, it looks like something else people do on 420, but it's the Japanese maple. We love it. Thanks for subscribing here on the Maple Mafia channel. I hope you'll check us out on eBay later today. Take care. God bless. Have yourself a great day.